imagine, if you will, a time of deep communal grief. I don't think the stretch will be that hard. You and all your beloveds are living under authoritarian rule that has tried to destroy your culture, your faith, your traditions. They did succeed in destroying one of your wider community's most holy buildings just about a decade ago. And you've heard word that in the years after, as your neighbors salvaged what they could from the rubble, and you found solace in telling decades-old stories of deep community care, you've heard that those in power built a stadium where now the powerful and the wealthy gather to watch the incarcerated and the enslaved fight, often to the death. People need a reminder that hope is found in liberation, in justice. People need to be told that while the present feels bleak, the arc of history does indeed bend toward justice, and a sacred love remains present even through this time of struggle. And they've told you that you have a gift with storytelling. You can make history come alive, remind others how stories that make us feel is one of the most powerful ways that we connect to hope. They've told you that embodying another's voice is your strength. And so you set to writing, beginning to weave together the written and oral stories you've read and heard over this past decade, several decades. And you are determined to begin this story well, with the promise of hope. Hope found in the births of babies whose mothers were too old and too young, and yet found themselves pregnant, holding tight to the promise of love that comes with each newborn child. The trouble is, a pregnancy you haven't planned for is only sometimes joyful. The trouble is, everything you know about your protagonist's mother says that she wasn't ready. There was too much uncertainty. She was young, she was unmarried, she was unprepared. And so, you give her a song, writing poetic words that share her joy and tell your reader what she held inside. Crafting dancing lyrics that help your audience understand that you see love and justice in their future. That the source of life and love will be present through the generations, guiding all the world. This is the setting in which we find a song of hope and justice in the Gospel of Luke, which Christians return to each Advent season. The Magnificat, what we call this song, is a text that is written and rewritten, reminding us that love and liberation and justice will persevere, reminding us that this is the hope in the time of Advent. So here are those words interpreted and reimagined for a contemporary moment by M. Jade Kaiser. Kaiser writes for Infleshed, a collective that gathers writings. My soul is alive with the thoughts of God. What a wonder their liberating works. Though the world has been harsh to me, God has shown me kindness, seen my worth, and called me to courage. Surely those who come after me will say I have been blessed. Even when my heart weighs heavy with grief, still, so does hope abide with me. Holy is the one who makes it so. From generation to generation, love's mercy is freely handed out. None are beyond the borders of God's transforming compassion. The power of God is revealed among those who labor for justice. They humble the arrogant. They turn unjust thrones into dust. Their wisdom is revealed in the lives and truths of those on the margins. God is a feast for the hungry. God is the great redistributor of wealth and resources. God is the ceasing of excessive and destructive production, that all the earth might rest. Through exiles and enslavement, famine and wars, white supremacy and climate crisis, God is a companion in loss, a deliverer from evil, a lover whose touch restores. This is the promise they made to my ancestors, to me, to all the creatures and creations now and yet coming. And in this promise, I find my strength. Come, great healer, and be birthed through us. M. Jade Kaiser wrote this text for Enfleshed, a collection of spiritual resources gathered to aid in the work toward collective liberation. In Unitarian Universalism, we draw on many spiritual texts, and we, like others who find meaning in those texts, are invited to wrestle with the complexities that some of our ancient texts seem in direct contrast to our values today. But this text isn't one of those. When I read the Magnificat, I am drawn into the promise of hope that is found in words that have endured for nearly 2,000 years, but could be responding to the events of our world in this very moment. Throughout history, humanity has faced systems of power that seek to undo the collective, that tell us we cannot effect change, that our labor for justice is in vain. And throughout history, we have seen that tyrannical systems come to an end, that greater justice is found, and that we move inch by inch toward the communal world we dream about, in which we find collective care, nourishment for all, and a balance of powers that amplifies voices on the margins. Christianity teaches us that hope is found in the time of waiting for the birth of Jesus. Hope is found in the moments of anticipation. Unitarian Universalism teaches us that we can take this nugget of hope in the birth of one baby and expand it widely. When we dedicate children to our community and ourselves to them and their families, we say these words from Rob Eller Isaacs. It is our faith that each child born is one more Redeemer. Hope is found in the anticipation of every birth, in the welcoming of every child into a family, no matter when or how they arrive. Hope is found in the ways that we watch children grow into their full selves, claiming who they are meant to be in this world. And indeed, hope is found in the ways we birth community, nurturing it and ourselves over and over throughout our adult lives. we find the holy in hope, in the labor of bringing forth hope in times of struggle, in the nurturing of hope as a tool of resistance and resilience, in the raising up of hope as foundational to our human connection, to our celebration of the moments of deep joy and lasting memory. When I am asked what I believe about God, I want to point people to M. Jade Kaiser's Magnificat. Where do I find God most present? In those moments of human connection where we learn more about ourselves and one another, our gifts and our shortcomings, as we strive together toward collective liberation. In the moments of joyful learning of babies and children, in the moments of shared wisdom of elders who have borne witness to our decades of building and risk and failure and triumph, of renewal and return. Poet and UCC minister Christina Hutchins offers us a more humanist Magnificat, which, if the language of God doesn't resonate deeply with you, might speak differently and newly to your heart. This is one where we can celebrate the work of humanity. She writes, "What shall I do with this quiet joy? It calls forth the expanse of my soul, calls it forth to go singing through the world, calls it forth to rock the cradles of death gently and without fear, to collect the rain in my spread hands and spill it like laughter, calls it forth to touch and carry her suffering, his age, our dense flesh, to bear into this world a place where light will glisten the edge of every wing and blade of grass, shine along every hair, on every head, gleam among the turnings of every wave, glorify the turning open of each life, each human hand." In this season of choosing hope and seeking the holy, where will you find it? Is your sacred found outside you, within you, in the relationships you build, in the world around us? In all of these mingling together to invite us on the path of building beloved community? That author we imagined at the start of my sermon told a story for a people grieving a deeply changed world and needing the promise of hope in something they could not yet envision. Generations of history have been recorded to remind us that hope and justice will continue to be built and rebuilt every day. May we draw on the lessons of our ancestors as we continue to bring forth more love with each passing season. May it be so.